Happy Sunday, Leapers! It's your favorite host. Well, I might be one of your favorites. I don't know. There's Rhonda, and there's Nicole, and there's the rest of us, right? Who are part of the group. But welcome to Sunday. It's the Sunday setup. And today's podcast, of course, is the Life After the Leap podcast. And we have an amazing special guest today. She is my aunt. She is someone who I love dearly. She's an amazing educator, entrepreneur, and she's here to talk to us today. Welcome, Zonieke Alston-Betts. Everybody clap.
Clink, clink.
Clink, 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 clink.
My favorite thing.
And she's saying clink, clink for those of you who don't know, because she has an amazing business that she started. How long ago did you start your business?
April 25th, 2021 was the launch.
Wow. April 25th, 2021, she started something called Pour Mobile Wine Bar. It's pretty amazing that she started this business in the middle of a pandemic. But we want to talk to her today about that process and how she was able to transition what she does on the daily to something that has been what I know to be incredible, not just for her and her family, but also for the community, adding this special kind of niche opportunity for you as you are having parties and celebrations in your family. So welcome, Zonieke.
Thank you for having me, Miss Kathy.
Yes. Here. Yeah. So talk to me. So you are originally from where?
I am originally from, and I never claim it, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. This is from Milwaukee, but I know you from another place, and there it is from
Chicago, Illinois. That's where most of my life experiences were.
Yeah, so we're both from Chicago, really originally. I mean, she says Milwaukee, but Chicago. And so you're from Chicago and you ended up here in Cincinnati. How many years ago did you come to Cincinnati?
We moved to Cincinnati in 2016, July of 2016. That's
All
when
right.
I came here.
And you came here in 2016, and did you have a business already? What were you thinking? What were you going to the plan for you in terms of employment? What were you doing?
So when I came here, I thought, will I continue to teach? Right. And so I basically started just putting my resume out there. I was like, I'll just go back into teaching because that's what I know. And immediately went into teaching and just really continued on with that, and
Yeah.
because that's what I knew.
So how many years had you been an educator before you came to Cincinnati? How many?
Like 5 years prior.
Okay. So you had done a pretty solid run at education and decided to continue that once you got here to Cincinnati. And you continued to do that. And then something happened. Well, like what happened to trigger this entrepreneurial event where you decided to launch a business?
Well, so, I think throughout my journey in life, I'm the kind of person that has always been a little spontaneous and I get bored easily,
Okay.
So I never really stayed in one space very long. So I didn't feel fulfilled in teaching, and I just knew that there was something else out there for me. So I did the mortar program. I went through the mortar program, and my initial idea with the mortar program was mobile gaming business, right?
Okay. But wait, before you go for what's mortar for those of us who may not be familiar with mortar?
That's a great question. So Mortar is a program that works with people that want to be entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And it's a program that will groom you, that will take you through the process, the financial aspects of it. They'll give you a mentor. They'll teach you and educate you on what life is really like. To be an entrepreneur, and you're in a class setting. Once a week you go and you learn a lot of business ethics on things that you should do to grow your business, to build your business step by step.
I heard a lot of good things about that mortar program. And for those of you that are watching, when We'll put some additional information about how to get in contact with the people at Mortar. We'll put that, under this video, because as an entrepreneur, I did not take advantage of Mortar, but I hear only good things about how they support new business owners and helping them with business plans,
Yes.
thinking about their marketing, advertising, thinking about who's their core or audience, who's their customer, and helping you to kind of like hone in and develop all of those things so that your business, as it launches and continues to grow, that is very successful.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing a little bit about Mortar. So
You're
you
welcome.
did the Mortar program, and then what happened?
And so then I told my girlfriend about the program and the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of our other girlfriends decided to take us on a trip to LA to a conference. It was
Mm-hmm.
called the Fearless Conference, and it was an entrepreneur conference. So
Mm-hmm.
all three of us were together, and we were kind of like just blown away, at the conference. And we went to a mall and we saw all these outdoor mobile businesses in the city of LA because they have great weather,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we were just like in awe and very intrigued. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we came back, we got to talking and we were thinking, well, what can we do?
Yeah.
In a mobile capacity. And I said, whatever it is, I think it's a great idea to have a mobile business. One,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have the overhead costs,
Yeah.
most of the overhead costs that you would have with a brick or mortar. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, also, it would be good. I mean, if you have to move around to different places and different cities, you can take your business with you, right? So
Yeah.
we got to talking and, and she was like, what could we do? So we were brainstorming and we came up with a mobile wine bar.
Mm.
Like, that's a good idea. So we started researching and we were talking a lot. And she started hers first, my closest friend. She's in Georgia.
Okay.
And then I started mine. I started researching. I joined a lot of Facebook groups for vintage campers.
Okay.
And I found a gentleman in Shelbyville, Indiana, which was like an hour away, that
Yeah.
was selling, a vintage camper. And I told him I was interested. Um, and me and my husband, we drove up to Shelbyville, um, and we bought the camper. Mind you,
Uh-huh.
fast forward a little bit, I worked two full-time jobs to just really save up for the camper because I
Wow.
wanted to do this on my own,
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I did that. That
Well,
was the biggest step.
oh, that's really impressive. I
Mm,
mean, education is a lot, right?
right.
Teaching is a lot. And right, so you were teaching, you had another job, I'm guessing on the evenings and the weekends.
Mhm.
And then you were also putting together with the people from Mortar and with your set of girlfriends that you were kind of brainstorming with this idea about what your leap would be, right? So that you
Yeah.
get rid of maybe the second job or maybe even the first job, right? And go, was the plan to go full time, or is the plan still to go to full time into the space with poor?
Well, the plan is eventually. My role now really is seasonally because
Mhm.
you can really only do it in the warm months and a little bit of the, some of the cold months.
Mhm.
But mostly seasonally. So I am still able to, work during those non-seasonal times,
Mhm.
but it keeps me really busy in the summer months. And I get lots of inquiries throughout the year. So I'm
Mhm.
still working on my business year round.
And it is a beautiful business. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and show everyone. This is a picture. This is from your website, and
Hmm.
I'll put the website address down at the bottom here. This is the vintage camper. So you had to go. You went to Shelbyville, Indiana. You and your husband
Yep.
went to Shelbyville, Indiana, and picked up this vintage camper. Was it already done? What did you have to do?
So it was not done, and he had sold it to me for a little bit more than what it should have been.
Mhm.
But we really had to take it down to the studs because there was like water damage, a lot of rot. So we had to really take it down to the studs, and that was all my husband's doing. He just kind of asked me, what do you want it to look like? What color? What do you want on the inside? Those kinds of things. And so really I just had to start researching other mobile bars. And what I've learned is it is a whole community out there, you
Ah.
know.
Mhm.
So everything I have learned was really through research and connecting with a mobile beverage community. They are all over the United States and they are vastly growing um, even more. So I had a lot of support along the way, um, but I had to do the work also.
Mhm.
I had to do the work.
And it's, I mean, it's just lovely. I don't, I'm hoping that everyone can really see like how beautiful it is. And so it's on wheels, and you have to take it pretty much everywhere. You hitch it to your truck, and you bring it to wherever the party might be happening.
Hmm.
And how has have people really received this opportunity to add this as part of their experience at their events?
I think it adds a lot of flavor and flair to any event. I think there's a lot of excitement surrounded about around the camper. So it adds a lot of fun to any event. It's a bonus, and I always get a lot of great feedback. And so in that process, I'm really just learning and growing, and I'm taking it all in.
Hmm.
I test everything that I do. I'm not afraid to kind of get out there and I am at times afraid, but
Okay.
I just go for it anyway. You
Hmm.
have to just go for it. You just have to do it, and sometimes though that's how you learn the best, by making mistakes. And you say to yourself, you know what, I'm not gonna do that again, you know.
Yeah.
But you just have to do it,
Hmm.
and there's support out there. I mean, I think Facebook is a great resource if you use it the right way.
Hmm.
There are so many groups out there for everything. And you can ask a question and people are going to provide you with resources and answers to things that you've been dealing with. Facebook is not just a social entity,
Yeah.
and the same with Instagram. I think Instagram has been the best as far as the networking piece.
Oh,
But
really?
yes, for me it
Mhm.
has. But
Mhm.
Facebook has been the best resource for my business, and I'm really surprised at that.
So in terms of like groups of people with the same interests, you can there's easy it's easier to find groups on
Mhm.
Facebook. But
Yeah.
like you said, to your point, I think Instagram like has a reach for consumers.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And what
Yeah.
about, are you using the tickety tockety? Are you using TikTok?
Not yet. Not yet.
All right. I know
Yeah.
that those are two social media platforms that seem to be really exploding, especially
Mhm.
for those who are looking to expand their sales, their fan base,
Mhm.
and I know that I am, as an entrepreneur in the consulting space, looking at like what do I need to do in order to expand my brand on those platforms, not only for my consulting space, but also for the company that I co-own, Cincinnati Urban Bike. So
Okay.
I definitely understand when you talk about how you leverage those particular mediums. And Facebook, again, I agree, like there are just the opportunity to connect with others. This is kind of like how we got started with
Mhm.
Life After the Leap, right?
Okay.
A group of people who are interested in like how to support each other, and what are the real opportunities when you decide to make those huge shifts, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes where you're the lone leaper, right, in your family or in your area or your in your immediate vicinity, right, who's
Mhm.
talking about doing something different, right? Because it would have been super easy for you, right, to not open a business, right, just stay in
Yes.
education and perhaps do a second job, just because you want to do it, but you took a chance and you decided to exercise that muscle and
Mhm.
make the leap and open up the Pour Mobile Wine Bar. And so, yeah, I'm just excited. I love going to Pour My Mobile Wine Bar. Now, it's not just because I enjoy wine. I do enjoy wine, but that's not the only reason I like to go, right? You also have another item that you sell, right?
Right.
But when you're out, can you talk to us about the other things you offer on the wine bar?
Okay. So we do offer cocktails. You can have cocktails, you can have mocktails, you can have soft drinks, you can do beverage stations, you can, along with the wine, we have two beer taps. We also have a cigar humidor on the camper. So for those guy groups that want to have like some, bourbon and cigars or beer and cigars, that's an option too.
Oh,
So a lot of people don't necessarily know about that part, but
mm,
it will get out there as well, I think, eventually. Um, so there's a lot of options, and I want to kind of devil or dive a little bit into, wine tastings.
mm,
I've done a few,
okay.
and have a little more exposure with that as well. And in the process of waiting for the camper to get ready, because that was like, an 8 month, 9 month long journey. In the process of waiting for the camper to get ready, um, I started I got a little bored. I
Mhm.
was excited about the business, but I got a little bored in waiting. And so I started making candles. And I said, how can I incorporate candles into the business? Because I don't want to confuse people, right?
Right,
So I
right.
said, well, maybe I can just make them wine focus and cocktail focus. And so that's what I did. I started
Mhm.
experimenting with scents that had wine, you know, scents. And little did I know, once I did that, a few days later, like this um restaurant that we know, that's a
Uh,
winery called Cooper's Hawk, they
yeah.
came out with their wine candles.
Oh,
Like, look at that.
look at that.
Unbelievable. So I do have a wine flight that
Okay.
has four of my favorite scents. Oh, you pulled them up. So like
Pull it
Seaside
up. Just
Sangria, yes, Chardonnay's Bliss, Boss Bordeaux, and pop some bottles of champagne. And then I do have some others that I just love. That's Pineapple Sage and Eucalyptus, and
Mhm.
Scentsy Housewives is a new bestseller. Um,
Oh,
so we
Cincy House. I've
have,
got to get that one. I'm a Cincy housewife.
yes.
Not really, but I want it.
Yeah, so that's something else we
Yeah.
do. So, yeah.
So you do candles, you do room sprays, and they're all have some scent that reminds you of a nice wine that you might get should you come to pour
Mhm.
and utilize them for one of your events. I just love that that is an addition that you have
Yep.
available.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just fun to me. It's just super fun to even think about. So you've got pour the wine side, you got pour the candle side. Is there anywhere that you think pour might be expanding in the future?
So, that's interesting that you say that, and, I have some tricks up my sleeve. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I have some tricks up my sleeve, but I think right now I just want to stay in my lane and be good and be great at what I'm doing right now and perfect my craft, and be a blessing to others, to my family, and to my friends, and always, move at a high vibration,
Hmm.
and just continue to grow, you know?
Hmm.
So that's where I am right now, and to build my business. Eventually, I would love to walk away from a job, but I know that takes time and planning. But doing this big leap was, it was a big leap.
Hmm.
It wasn't easy. I was definitely fearful. There was lots of hesitation, but all I can say is to the audience is sometimes you just have to trust yourself. You have to trust God. You have to lean into those fears, and you just have to do it.
Hmm.
Sometimes all the pieces of the puzzles won't always necessarily fit together. you
Mhm.
know, but you have to trust God in the process, you know, and know your worth and know your value, and just do it.
I love that. Amen. Amen.
Mhm.
I think sometimes, we have this voice in our head and we think it's our imagination. And I never think it's my imagination anymore. I was guilty of definitely believing that, oh,
Mhm.
I'm just thinking something crazy that can't possibly be what's for me. But I think oftentimes, when we're still and we're quiet and we're intentionally focused on like
Mhm.
really like listening for what God has for us, that it shows up, right? And you got to
Yep.
trust that that's the voice, right? And it's hard sometimes to trust yourself enough to make the
Mhm.
leap. And so I love that you talked about like how you have been intentional about vibrating higher, and I think that's about where you put your energy, right? Your intention is to be positive, to add value, to add more love and kindness and joy into the world. And I think that ricochets right back to you when you're doing that. And I think it's really something you have to be conscious of as you make these big, sometimes lonely leaps, right? But you're following your heart and you're following what you believe God might have for you. So that's really, really cool. That's really, really
Right.
cool.
Mhm.
So is there any other sage advice that you would give to someone who might maybe not necessarily wanting to go into a space that's focused around wine or anything, but when you're thinking about first steps, what would you suggest first steps for anybody who's looking to start a small business?
So, one thing Mortar taught me that really resonated with me was that know your story, you know? And so, when you start a business, it has to be something that really resonates with you and your spirit. You know, it has to be purposeful,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be meaningful. You know, it has to speak volumes to you. So, you just can't say, I want to do this, I want to do this. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it has to kind of speak to you in some sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
My story has pour represents pour into someone who will pour into you, provide, offer, uplift, and renew. I have lived in 7 different cities and I have met friends in those 7 different cities. One thing that has been constant is we have gotten together with wine and we have poured into each other. And women may not realize it, but they have impacted me and my life. So core made sense. That was the first step. It made sense. In talking to my hairdresser about what I wanted to do, she came up with the name, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
she was pouring into me. Little did she know every time she was doing my hair. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So it made sense, you know. So that's the first step. You have to believe in it. It has to feel good in your gut, you know. And then once you have that, you know, open yourself up to what's next, doing the work, educating yourself about your brand and what's unique to you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like everybody else. I had to learn that my lane is my lane, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to look real different from the other person's lane, you know, and I'm really okay with that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and
Mm-hmm.
that took some time, you
Yeah.
know, and some work, you know. So I think those are the first steps. Being okay of doing the work, doing the research, knowing what your purpose is, not being afraid to talk about it, ask questions, learn from other people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then collaborate. Like, man, I'm the kind of person, I don't just like to do stuff always on my own. I like to talk it through with other people,
Mm-hmm.
other business owners. So, what I've learned in being an entrepreneur is that I'm talking to other entrepreneurs and about business
Exactly.
because I don't have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really I connect with my competition, other mobile bar owners,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we're working this thing together. We're collaborating and talking about doing things together. We've helped each other. I've had another mobile bar owner help me at an event. That was love. I took her out to dinner,
Yeah, yeah,
great person. Toya,
yeah,
mwah, love
yeah.
you, girl, from a
I know
toast to good
Toya.
life. Yes. So, I mean, it's just not about being afraid.
And I love that you said that because it takes good courage, right? It
Mm-hmm.
really does. To go where you've never gone before, and there may not be anybody in that space, right?
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that you're focusing your energy in something positive, you're doing your research like you talked about, you're making the connections like you talked about,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you getting together with a plan and seeking out all of this good free help like mortar. But even if you're not in Cincinnati, there's tons of resources
Yeah.
wherever you are, whether you're in Chicago or Milwaukee or Las Vegas, wherever you are. Your local chamber of commerce oftentimes has some subcommittee or committee that is working to increase small business, whether it be minority owned or women owned or just small business in general in their space. And they're looking and they have opportunities, and there's some of them are tied to grants and money that you can
Mm-hmm.
be leveraging to help move your ideas forward. But you got to start with knowing exactly what you'd like to start, doing the research, like Zonique said, and then also making those connections and being willing to collaborate, even with sometimes your competition. And one of the things that I know for sure is that even if you're thinking about going into a space that's heavily populated already with others, they don't have one of you.
Right.
There's no you in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So even if that lane is it seems like it's crowded, there is still room for you. If it's on your heart to do, and I believe God put it on your heart to do, right? If it's making you move in that way, then don't have no fear, right? The
Mm-hmm.
opportunities and the connections and the collaborations that you need to have will appear. And you may fail 100 times, right? But those
Mm-hmm.
are all opportunities to learn and grow and be better and greater for whatever comes next. So that would be my offering to add to the really cool sage advice that Zonique also offered up to us. So again, the name of your company is Pour, and you can be found at pourmobilewinebar.com.
Yes.
You have lots of cool packages and things that they can connect to,
Mhm.
and those are packages are all about like types of drink offerings and things that can be offered at any event that you might come to, etc.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that no event is the same. There's no one size fit all.
Mhm.
All the pricing really isn't the same for everybody.
Okay.
So it is very different, depending on the number of guests, the amount of time, what you're having. It really just depends. I'm doing an event with just mocktails.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I probably would go, but I would be like, what a wine. What a
It'll
wine.
be different. I'm gonna dial it up. I'm gonna dial it up and make it nice.
I know it's going to be amazing. So I'm
Hmm.
I'm going to invite everyone that's in our group, everybody that's watching this, to check out pourmobilewinebar.com and learn more about the amazing owner of Pour Mobile Wine Bar, the lovely Zonique Alston-Betts. And I am prejudiced; she is my auntie, and but she also has an amazing business, and I'm sure that if you've got an event coming up, it'll be even cooler if you brought
Yes.
me for it.
And follow us on Instagram at Pour Mobile Wine Bar and on Facebook at Pour Mobile Wine Bar and on Twitter at Pour Mobile Wine.
Okay, I'm gonna add all of the social media pieces to the post as this comes up. And thank you so much for coming and being on the podcast today. We love people who take leaps. We love our leapers here, and you've made an
Yes.
amazing leap and have jumped into a new space. And I am so happy that it is bringing you much joy and happiness, and creating just more much more excitement for you and your family. So thank you for coming by today and sharing your story. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you for
Um,
having me.
All right. All right, everybody. We will see you next Sunday. I try to make it every Sunday. Sometimes I sleep up, but it's just I get busy. Right. But we'll see you next Sunday. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Life After the Leap. We'll see you next Sunday. Wait a minute. That's the wrong one. It's this one. Wait.